So here we were presenting data where we had taken a mouse model that spontaneously develops melanoma and used it to test sunscreens. So many consumers don't realize that sunscreens are only tested for their ability to prevent burning, but not tested for their ability to prevent skin cancers like melanoma. And so we thought this was a really important thing to do. And we were able to demonstrate that all of our sunscreens, rated SPF 30, were able to delay the onset of melanoma in our model, which was very exciting, showing that these were good sunscreens. However, we did notice that some sunscreens were better at this than others. And so that tells us that there are differences among even the SPF 30 sunscreens. And we want to advocate for a lot better testing in the future. The testing has been, because sunscreens are usually tested by the cosmetic industry, animal testing is really kind of frowned upon. And so there are very limited ways which you can test whether something will drive a cancer in a non-animal model. And so that's why there really hasn't been a lot of testing in this area. So we had one SPF 50 sunscreen. It did not perform any better than the SPF 30 sunscreens, but we still need to really do a lot more experimentation in this area. So there is some evidence that both UVA and UVB wavelengths of UV light are important in driving cancers, and we're still trying to understand specifically what forms of sunlight are most important. As far as the ability of each type of sunscreen, like I said, we've only tested one SPF 50 sunscreen at this point. So we really need to do further work in this area to really say which ones are the best. Well, we right now are advising people to follow the recommendations of the American Academy of Dermatology, which is to use an SPF 30 or higher sunscreen that has water resistance and is broad spectrum, meaning that it covers both UVA and UVB wavelengths. And so right now that's our recommendation going forward, but hopefully in the future we're going to be able to make even more clear distinctions amongst the sunscreens. Most consumers don't realize that these aren't clinically tested, and so the standards that are used for the cosmetic industry and for sunscreens are much different than you would have for the standards for a clinical trial or a clinical drug. And we think that this needs to be changed because consumers need to be aware of exactly how much a sunscreen is doing to prevent cancer. I think it's been very challenging for us to obtain funding for this kind of research because, first of all, we can't get support from the industry because we're doing some animal work. And secondly, it's typically the kind of research that's done in the pharmaceutical setting where you're looking at dosing and different compounds, which wouldn't normally be funded by agencies looking to look for new pathways and things in cancer. So there's kind of a gap that needs to be filled.